Myopia has been labeled as one of the most common ocular disorder affecting human worldwide. So you can see at least 25% of people in US and almost 90% of people in some part of China has been affected with a myopia thing, and almost 70% in India. So if you are considering people adult more than 30 years of age, and by 2050 more than half of the population in US will become myopic and double the rate in India, as this much has been estimated. So, what are the methods to control or reduce myopia? How we actually manage our myopia things? So, first, being our presentation is obviously in orthokeratology, is a temporary reduce in myopia correction requirement. But nowadays we do have a spectacle, which actually work for your myopia reduction things. Second, obviously, a laser in ophthalmology specialist will prefer a laser to reduce your myopia, or the management of your myopia. So we have a LASIK, we have RK, we have PRK, which is actually a permanent solution. While if we talking about an orthokeratosis, is not a permanent solution; it's actually a temporary reduction of the myopia things. So, if you want to start with anything to study, like this session will be a basic session for your orthokeratology. I'm not going to tell you about the troubleshoot things, the way you actually control a myopia, because when you are intent to start with a hands-on of your ortho-K lenses for the first time, you actually have to know how your lenses has been made, how the lens will work. I will actually let you know about the calculation you can do in your pre-calculation actually for your myopia reduction, the effects on your patient. So first of all, history of orthokeratology, how it has been started. So it has been started in 1960 in some part of US, and the main concern for starting of orthokeratology was to study a reduction or to reduce or management of your myopia. So out of curiosity, the orthokeratology has been started. It has been known that George Jason, who first attempted to deliberately change the refractive error of myopia using a rigid lenses using a technique, he named it as an orthofocus. So George Jason, what he does, he actually thought that at that time the hard lenses which was available was PMMA lenses. So he thought that he can actually fit a flat curvature lenses than actual flattest curvature of your cornea, and to make your cornea little more flatter than the steepest part of your the steepest myopia you are having. So much of his earlier work in orthokeratology arises from a myopia control studies. So as I told, orthokeratology actually came into a picture because of a myopia control study. Those are performed by Robert Morrison in 1956. His study showed that 1,000 teenagers using a PMMA rigid lenses fitted with 1.5 to 2.5 diopter flatter than the flattest corneal curvature had no myopia progression over a year period of time. So using a PMMA lenses, using it 1.5 to 2.5 flatter than your flattest corneal curvature, they have seen that there has been a reduction in myopia progression, which we now call as an orthokeratology. But that time it was known as an orthofocus, which was named by George Chesney. So in similar circumstances, practitioner found that a corneal curvature had changed, refractive error had decreased, and unaided visual acuity had improved in this myopia patient wearing a rigid contact lenses. So, what's the current scenario in orthokeratology? Modern orthokeratology achieved this using a specially designed reverse geometry gas permeable lenses, which we call as an ortho-K lens. But that time they were having only a PMMA lenses. So, as you all must be knowing that PMMA has a zero decay, so they are not used to, or they are not formed to wear overnight. But nowadays you can actually wear your ortho-K lenses overnight also. So this overnight wearing process provide a faster, more predictable result than early ortho-K attempt, as a practice in 1960 using a conventional rigid gas lenses fitted incrementally flatter than 2.5 diopter from your corneal curvature. So modern orthokeratology has a different curvature, like it can have 4, it can have 5, it can have 6. I recently came to know that a company having orthokeratology lenses with 7 curvature. So there are many companies or production company, they are actually putting their effort in ortho-K lenses, but Basically, the more general ortho K lenses will have a 4 types of design or 4 types of curve in the back surface curvature. So using this technique, properly selected patient can go through a day wearing no correction and usually enjoy excellent visual acuity. So let me explain this thing. If you are wearing a ortho K lenses overnight, over a span of 1 week in a modern ortho K lenses, you actually don't have to wear any of your spectacles or your contact lenses when you are waking in the morning. So you have to just remove your ortho K lenses and your vision will be clear for overall day. Obviously, it depends upon your refractive error, it depends upon your design and many more things. But in a general practice, after a week of wearing of your lenses, a full day of your clear vision can be maintained after removal of your ortho K lenses. So start with an evaluation like how design has been evolved. Obviously, the first design was PMMA lenses, which was a two curve design. So Jason started with Ortho K PMMA. Again, they were simply conventional rigid contact lens fit as flat as possible while still maintaining acceptable lens position. So as we all know, when we are fitting a flat contact lenses or flat hard lenses on your eye, the things which can go wrong is actually the centration. The centration will not be there. The lens will decentered. Obviously, the lid interaction will be very more. As you know, the lens are fitted very much flat. The edge of the lens will just lift and the lid interaction with your contact lens will be more. So the centration issues were there. Again, if the centration is not there, movement is very much high, then there will be an issue of increase in astigmatism level. So you can see a typical two curve design of a PMMA lenses below. So again, what was an issue? Use of PMA material, they cause corneal edema as it's a zero decay material. Lack of model instrument. Back then in 1960, people were not having a topography. They were actually dependent upon the keratometer or different technique, which like just they want to know the corneal curvature. They fit a curvature lenses to know which corneal curvature they are having. So back then in 1960 they actually started with a keratometer, but now we have a topography which we can actually deal with more sophistically how our cornea curvature is changing. Multiple lens need to be fitted. So back in 1960 they actually can't go with one single lens, because if you are fitting a lens which is a hard lenses which has to be fitted 2.5 diopter flatter, you have to slowly start with a flattest lenses. Like you have to start with 0.5 diopter flat, then you have to go with 1 diopter flat, and slowly over a week time you have to go 3 to 4 lenses to actually get that final result of 2.5 diopter. So you have to take care of a patient for a week, and you have to fit more of the lenses to get that final result. The process was very slow, costly. Obviously, more lens was involved, tedious for patient and your fitter also. Again, your patient have to revisit for you for many times, and the fitter or the practitioner have to take care of the things which he have done previously, like the records, not suitable for occasional wear. So if at that time, if you are an occasional wear person, if you just discontinue wearing a ortho lenses, then again you have to start with the first lens, then go to the second one, and then go to the final one or the third one. Wearer would also complain about double vision, reflection, flare when the pupil become large. Actually, the previous two curve design of the PMM lenses is actually work 2 to 3 mm only while going to the flattest corneal curvature. Again, the second one, the design they came up with was the Cortex OK3. Nixtoyan patented reverse curve configuration. Actually, the first patent was born to Nixtoyan by a company Cortex. Cortex is still available in the market, and just believe me, they have a wide range of ortho lenses, including with the spherical correction lenses, the toric correction lenses. Also, they have a presbyopic correction lenses. So it's a very good company, and again many company has been involved nowadays for orthokeratology. So what improvement in design was done from the PMA lenses? Actually they have introduced a reverse zone. So I can just show you over here. Okay, so previously they were having only a two zone. One was that this OZ, and another one was this yellow part, which is the edge zone. And now they have introduced a third zone, which is the tear reservoir or the reverse zone. And due to this zone, they actually achieve one thing, which is the movement of your epithelium. So If you want to flat your cornea, you're actually dealing with the superior or the upper part of your corneal epithelium, and you need to actually, hydraulically press your epithelium to the side to get this flattest part of your cornea. So they actually introduced this reverse zone so that all the epithelium or the liquid in the epithelium get collected, the intracellular liquid get collected to the reverse zone. So this new design offer a vast improvement over an older system of simply fitting conventional rigid lenses as flat as possible. So previously you have to work with 3 or 4 lenses, but nowadays you can actually fit with 2 lenses only, and you can have your final result. Tear reservoir zone allow the movement of hydraulically compressed epithelium, larger working zone of at least 6 mm. So what was an issue with ortho-K still? As we all know, if you fit any lenses which is flatter than the ideal curvature, these things go wrong. What things can go wrong? Delayed interaction will be there. The lens movement will be very much hacky. It will not settle on your cornea very much. And it was not usual to order 2 pair of lenses back then. Each patient of the beginning, when they were fitting with this OK3 lenses, the practitioner used to order 2 to 3 lenses, which was 0.1 mm flatter than the other, so they can actually go with the normal ideal fit lenses, then they can go with the flatter one, and they can again go with the flatter one. So back then they used to order 2 to 3 pair, and for a one pair to work, they actually need 1 week for reduction of 1 diopter of myopia. So again there was an issue because there were not any curvature which will be dealing with the centration part, but again you are fitting with the splatter part of your contact lens to your cornea. So you can just actually have a look about the 3 curve design, and I have just put a picture about just compare for a modern ortho-K lenses. So this is the OZ, the base curve which we call BOZR, which actually deal with the flattening of your cornea, and this is the reverse curve design. So you can see how big this reverse curve design was, and the edge part is on the corner. So reverse curve was very much large in the second generation of ortho-K lenses, and nowadays we have actually 4 curve where you can see this is BOZR, the OZ. Then we have a reverse curve, reverse zone, and then we have one more thing which we call as an alignment zone. So the third ortho-K lenses actually came up with alignment zone, which actually work for the alignment on your cornea, the ideal fitting, and then we have a edge part. So again, the third ortho-K lenses which has been introduced was patented by an FDA. So we can use these lenses overnight also, because this was a gas permeable lenses. So ortho-K design now available in a typical 4 curve, with some of the manufacturer providing 5 to 6, even 7 curve also. However, works same in principle. Basically contain following zone. So when we are talking about ortho-K in a professional way, we actually have to know about each part in a more sophisticated term. So better than describing this middle ring and the peripheral ring, we can actually go with the typical optical terms or an ophthalmic terms, like the central part. The central part we call as an BOZR or the OZ, the optical zone, which actually work for flattening of your cornea. Nothing yet it has to do with the centration and all thing. The second this line or the fluorescent pattern over here, you can see, which we call as an reverse curve. So reverse curve work only for as a reservoir for your intracellular fluid and your epithelium of your superior part of your cornea, the most first part, the most first layer of your cornea, to get reserve over there. And the third curve is called as alignment curve. So this clear part you can see over here is an alignment curve. So alignment curve, as the name suggests, it's only work as for the alignment with your cornea. So the fitting, if you are considering it as a flat fit, the C fit will go with the alignment curve only. And the fourth, the most important curve, which we call as in peripheral curve or the edge curve, which actually deal with the tear interaction with your lens and your eye or your cornea. So if you have any doubt, you can actually unmute yourself and you can ask me directly. So I will just move on to next slide. So ortho-K design now. Predictable result, again you can predict. I will just let you know about the calculation and the theoretical part, how you can actually predict how your lens is going to work. In most of the cases, first fit as an ideal fit, as we all know nowadays, many companies are coming up with an empirical fitting where you actually don't need to carry a trial set. You actually have to provide all the data to your company, and they will give you lenses which most of the time goes with the ideal fit. But again, I do personally prefer with a trial set thing. Thanks to all new design alignment zone, this centration is not a big task. Availability of new technology like topography, people just believe me, a topography is a very lovable instrument when you have a hands-on on that thing. If you are starting with your own orthokeratology practice, so it gives you very valuable information as compared to your keratometer, which actually give you some part of your corneal curvature only. So it will actually give your information about how your epithelium is moving, where part is getting steeper, where part is getting flatter, and how is your orthokeratology lenses working. So fitting techniques like empirical technique fittings are now possible again. However, many practitioners choose trial set fitting, including me. I like to fit with my trial set. So result for a full day wearing is achieved within a week or now. So again, if you are starting with ortho-K, just let your patient know that it will not magically happen in one day or one night of wear. It will take at least a week time again, depending on your refraction. So also custom made fitting lenses are possible. So even some company have come up with a custom made contact lens design, like you can actually change each curve with the lens. Like if you want more steeper BOZR, if you want more flatter this alignment curve, you can actually deal with every curve with your company. You have to just instruct, or many company have a software which you can actually design your or ortho lenses. So this is just a topography report. You can actually see how your lens work, going with the middle steeper part, and when you use ortho K, you can see a dark, the bluish part, which is actually a flattest cornea, and the this is actually a reverse one, which you will be seeing in your topography report. And this black ring, which you are saying, is actually a pupil. So it's having a more importance when you are working with a myopia control thing. So this reverse zone actually should fall in to your pupil area if you're working with a myopia control with your ortho K. But again, if you're not doing with myopia control, just a typical cosmetic appearance, it should usually fall outside of your pupil area. So let's get started with actually how your ortho lens work. So as we all know, the terms like hyperopia, myopia, emmetropes, hyperopes, and how we actually treat this thing from plus lenses to minus lenses. And when we are talking about an orthokeratology lenses, usually we have a more concern about the most first part or most first layer of your cornea, which is epithelium layer. And again, the previously when we have studied, we know that we have different layers in our cornea, and recently we have introduced with one layer which is called as an Hoover's layer. So cornea being just 0.5 mm in thickness actually have a optical power of around 40 to 45 diopters, and in orthokeratology, which we are more concerned about, is this 50 micron of your epithelium layer. So I have just attended many of these orthokeratology section, and when I actually ask people, like how it actually work on reduction of your myopia, people are saying it it's actually compress your cornea. It actually change the curvature of entire cornea. It doesn't actually compress your cornea. It actually work on changing the superior or the most first layer of your cornea, which is epithelium. And believe me, it doesn't touch anything below your epithelium. Like it doesn't change back surface or back corneal curvature or any thickness of your cornea. It does only effect, or it does only work on superior part of your cornea, which is epithelium layers only. And just mind you, it's only a 50 micron in the thickness. So working of ortho lenses, many studies has been indicated that corneal shape change in orthokeratology are temporary. So it's a temporary procedure demonstrating that the cornea is elastic and has a memory. So very beautiful thing about an orthokeratology is that it's a reversible procedure. So if you don't want to continue with your ortho lenses, you just have to remove, and it will take a span of like a week or 2 weeks to actually get to your original prescription. So it's not like your typical surgical procedures, like it's a permanent solution. So if you don't want to wear your ortho lenses, or if you want to go with laser LASIK also, so you can actually discontinue wearing your ortho lenses and you can go with the surgical procedures. So it's a reversible process. Again, the change to shape of the cornea result in myopia reduction. Obviously, if your cornea superior or the most uh, first layer is changed, the curvature of your cornea will change. Thin layer of tear film exists between the back of the orthocase, shaping the lenses of the central cornea. This tear film share a force, like act as an hydraulic category to force a compression and possibly subsequent distribution of very anterior epithelium cell. So what it does actually say is, like, when you are wearing an orthocare lenses, the central part of your epithelium, the intercellular liquid and the epithelium cells itself get hydraulically shift toward the reverse curve design, which will help in making the central part more flatter. So epithelium cells under the shaper from the central toward the periphery, it gets shifted towards there. It also may explain why this patient can wear a shaping lenses whose base curve are flatter than K and still experience no central corneal staining or the irritation. So even wearing this flattest corneal lenses, you will not experience, or you will not see any of the corneal staining or irritation, because it's work on the epithelium, and we all know your epithelium is a regenerative part which can actually regenerate over a span of week. So I've just demonstrated how an lens will work. So this is your actual cornea, which is T, and this is your orthocare lenses, a back design orthocare lenses. You will have to just wear these lenses, and your cornea will just take shape of these lenses, and you can see how your epithelium is actually moving. So this is your normal epithelium layer, which is your steeper part, and when you see a epithelium after wearing an orthocare lenses, so you will see this epithelium has actually been moved to the reverse curve desire reverse cone, which is over here. So working of orthocare lenses, again, the study conducted by Helens in Australia, he has actually conducted a study over a 30 days of period. What she has seen that the corneal epithelium cell layer was redistributed in some manner, leading to a thinning of central cornea to significant level across the corneal surface. So you can actually see the steeper part of your cornea getting redistributed over this peripheral area, where making the central part of your cornea more flatter. This blue dark zone, you can see it indicate actually a flat part, and the more vibrant color, the red color, then you can go with the green or yellow. You can see it's actually the steep part of your cornea. So when you wear an orthocare lenses, the central part get flatter, and it just redistribute your epithelium towards this periphery, and you can see this beautiful ring over this, and this is actually a steeper part. So there was a concurrent thickening on the mid-periphery cornea in the reverse. These changes occur with no apparent change to the posterior corneal curvature. So study indicate that there will be no posterior curvature change when you are wearing an orthocare lenses. It was the corneal epithelium cell that were affected in some manner by the fluid pressure effect of before mentioned tear film force. So actually it's a tear film force which drag your, or hydraulically press your epithelium toward the periphery. So just the comparison from the first RGP lenses, the PMMA lenses, which is actually having a two curve, the OZ and the H, and nowadays we have a four curve, which is OZ, again the reverse zone, the alignment zone, and the edge zone. So again, we will be studying deep about this zone and how this zone actually works. You can actually see, a 3D demonstration about a topography, how your orthocare lens actually work. So let's talking about the first curve. We call it as a OZ or BOZR. The BOZR or OZR flatter than your central corneal radius. Again, it is flatter than your corneal radius to actually create a positive pressure, create compression of corneal central corneal epithelium. Purpose is actually to get a treatment zone of 5 mm and more. Usually, orthocare lens will give you a treatment zone of 4 mm plus, but if your fitting is very good, as you can see, this is actually a lens fitting which I have done. It's actually from Nepal only, a optometry student. I don't remember actually the college name, but it's my fitting. So we are getting a central treatment zone of about 6 mm over here. So it's only used to compress your cornea. So the central part of your ortho K lenses, which you call as an BOZR, the work of that BOZR is only to compress your cornea and nothing to do with any types of fit factor. So usually compress the cornea, toward a hyperopic side. So uh, just have a look on this line. This it's like if you're having a refractive power of -2 diopter, so this BOZR will compress your cornea to -2.75 diopter. And why it's doing so, I will just let you know. So if you are having a refractive power of -2 diopter, this BOZR will compress your cornea toward more hyperopic side, which is getting a hyperopia of plus 0.75 diopter. And why it is done so? So BOZR have a power of plus 0.75 diopter, and it is done to compensate the amount of power change while lens is removed in the morning. So we will be doing a calculation part in further slide. But before doing this calculation, just concentrate about this thing. So if you're having a myopia of -2 diopter, your lenses will compress your, just flat your cornea even further, going 0.75 diopter, making your eye in a hyperopic side. So my two minus 2 diopter has been gone. Again, I'm becoming hyperopic of plus 0.75 diopter. So how we will just compensate this thing? We will just let our ortho lenses power will be 0.75 diopter. So if I am wearing an ortho lenses, my hyperopia will be covered through my ortho lens, because my ortho lens power will be 0.75 diopter, and it will compress my refractive power through a flattening of my corneal curvature by -2. So when you are wearing actually orthocal lenses, your vision will be clear. So that's why many of the lenses or orthocal lenses will have mentioned PWR, which is the power of lenses, whether it can be 0.75 or +1, as I have mentioned one of the example which I am using with me. So the first part you can see over here is actually a fitting curve, and what I am talking about BOZR is, you can see over here this BC. So base curve is actually 8.82. So this base curve count as your BOZR. So just I will let you know all the detail and all the finding of this thing. So which we are talking right now, BOZR is your base curve, 8.82 mentioned over here. And what I have told you about the power of lenses is mentioned here, like P 0.75. So usual orthocal lenses will be having a power over here. It's mentioned 0.75. It can go with 0.75 or +1, depending upon the how much your lens is shifting you towards an hyperopic side. And why they actually shift you toward hyperopic side is like when you remove your lenses in the morning. So the amount of the pressure which has been maintained due to the contact lens on your eye, or due to your lid interaction, when you remove your lenses, that amount which will get recover, which will be taken care by shifting your eye toward hyperopic side. So again, the second curve we call as a reverse zone. So just take this all technical name like the OZ or the reverse zone when you are interacting with some of the professional, or even when you are starting with your own ortho lens practice. So reverse zone is actually 3 to 5 diopter more steeper than your BSR. So it is 3 to 5 diopter more steeper than your OZ. Again, create an annulus tear reservoir. So it actually create a tear reservoir which can be collected toward a reverse zone. Again, it will also give you a reservoir of your epithelium and intracellular fluid to get collected in a reverse zone. Inducing a negative pressure, again, if OZ is inducing a positive pressure, there has to be something which create a negative pressure beside that, which is reverse zone. Allow a migration of epithelium cell and intracellular fluid. Use as very important factor in myopia controlling system. So I have earlier mentioned you this thing, like you can see this pupil which is in a black part. So if you want a myopia control things to be happen in a orthokeratology, this reverse zone should fall under your pupil size. So it will give you a peripheral defocusing thing, which can be, which will be working for a myopia control. Again, it's a very huge topic, we will cover it some other time. So we have talked about BOZR, we have talked about reverse zone, and let's talk about aligning zone. So alignment zone is a, it's a very important and crucial zone when you are dealing with the fitting of your lenses. So closely aligned peripheral cornea providing a bearing zone. Again, it will, depend upon the fitting of your lenses, and it will decide how your lens will work on your cornea, whether it's a flat fit or whether it's a steep fit. Because BOZR will only be a flatter, as we have to flat our corneal curvature. The alignment zone has to be an ideal fit, where it has to be a normal fluorescent thing can be seen over there. The flatter than the reverse curve area, obviously it will be flatter. So maintain a main function is to optimize a lens centration. It is generally 2 to 2.5 mm wide depending upon the lens design. Again, it depends upon all the lens design. So as far as the alignment zone is concerned, you can see a figure over here like the fitting curve. So this fitting curve actually indicates your alignment zone, which is written over here, which is 42.50 diopter, 7.94 mm. So this is the base curve and this is your diopter. So you can actually, we'll just make it an interactive session. You can actually let me know how we can easily convert a base curve to a diopter. If anyone can answer me from unmuting your mic.
The formula is the n dash minus n upon r.
Okay.
The formula is n dash minus n upon r.
Okay. Anything which is much simpler than this?
This keratometry is giving the value actually. It already is converted. We can see from where.
Yeah, actually in keratometer is obviously it's a converted thing. Like in a dial, you are getting the diopter in form. So anyone else can actually let me know how you can easily convert your diopter to
So sorry, 337.5 upon
Yes,
what?
yes, yes.
There is the formula. Yes,
Yes, very
this
good.
is
So it's very,
actually
it's very
calculated.
simple. I can see Kajal Singh actually given me a reply. It's, you have to actually just divide through your corneal refractive index, which is 337.5. So just convert your diopter to mm. You have to divide 337.5 to your mm or either with diopter, and you will get your respective result.
Actually,
So
3.77 is come from n dash minus n upon r.
yes,
This
yes.
is the calculation.
Because it's the formula, and again when we are doing it in a faster way, you can actually get
Yes, 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 yes,
337.5.
yes.
So
Yes,
thank you
yes.
so much. I
Okay.
can't actually see who is there, but thank you. So simply, as far as the alignment curve is concerned, you will be getting this adaptive form and the form actually can convert and see also. So the alignment curve is mentioned by fitting curve, or you will be seeing the AL or FC over there. So fitting curve actually indicate your alignment curve, where I have shown you the BC will indicate your optical zone which is 8.82. Obviously, you can convert your to your dioptric form, and P indicates your this thing, your power of your lenses, where S or the shape of the lenses actually indicate the dia of your lens. In some lenses it will be directly mentioned DIA, so it's actually indicate your dia of the lenses. Okay, we'll move to the next one. So the fourth, which is very crucial part as far as your comfort is concerned, which is the edge zone, flatter than the alignment curve, providing a edge dip. It will be a flatter than your alignment curve, slightly tighter than your conventional RGP lenses. Again, it will be a tighter to actually fit in your the centration part has to be taken cover by the edge, and comfort movement or your tear exchange or your debris exchange will be a concerned part of your edge zone only. So typical ortho K lens I have just demonstrated. So again, letting you know the FT represent your alignment curve, TP represent your target power. Actually, what target power you want to go with your lenses. The BC indicate this OZ part, the optical zone part, or the BOZR. The power, the P indicate the power of your actual lenses. So this ortho K lenses having a power of 0.75, and I have actually let you know about why 0.75 is there, and as which actually indicate the dia of your optical lenses. So let's take an example. This actually example of uh, Optom student from Nepal only. I hope she is there. I don't know if she is here or not. So her right eye and left eye refractive power was -2 diopter and -1.775 diopter respectively. There are that K1 and K2 reading in both eye, where average K goes with right eye is around 43 diopter, 42.93, and your left eye's average K is around 43.5 diopter. So we will be taking this example and we will be calculating about how you can actually pre-calculate the working of your ortho-K lenses. This was her topography report. Again, some of the finding from topography. And believe me, if you want to start with your ortho K practice, you actually have to know about what in summary index is, what is the K reading, the superior, the anterior part, the posterior part. What does this shape index let you know about how your cornea shape is there, and again the refractive analysis and keratoconus screening. Some of the keratoconus part can be treated with your ortho-K lenses also, but again you have to know what are the normal findings for keratoconus. So when you have to start with ortho-K lenses, many companies have indicated you the formula for conversion of your refractive power to your target power. Again, the formula to convert your corneal ideal curvature to your FT, which is the fitting curve. So the lens which I have used having this typical formula for your which we call as an spherical equivalent thing. So let's suppose a patient whose right eye having a 3.5 and 0.75 minus dioptric and having average which is 3.5 minus and minus 0.75 diopter. So if you want to convert this paracylindrical to a target power, if you want to take a target power, so we have a formula over here. So S plus a flat K minus fit K, where S indicate your spherical power and flat K indicate your flattest part of your corneal curvature, and fit K indicate your average K, which is written over here. Fit K is equal to average K. So we will be taking S, which is your spherical part, which is minus 3.5, the flat K, which is 44.50, and the average K, which is mentioned over here, which is 45. So calculating this, 44.5 minus 45 will give you minus 0.5 diopter, and we have to add that minus 0.5 and 3.5, we will be getting minus 4. So the first trial lenses which you will be getting from the patient data will be minus 4 diopter lens target power, and you have to take an average K as your fit curve. Average K over here is 45, and the dia will be dia will be constant across your trial set, which I have. It's like 10.6. So when you have to start with your first K trial lenses, you will have to actually select which trial lens you want, and by this calculation actually you can go with the first trial. Again, if your patient is not having a sphero-cylindrical form, you can directly go with minus 3.5, but do calculate by this method, because if patient not accepting a cylindrical value, but there might be some case where patient corneal have some curvature which will be taken care of. So this method will which we will use for the selection of our first trial lenses. Again, some rule for shifting your trial lenses, going up in base curve or going down, shifting from flat to flip, or again changing your power. So the first rule, no base curve change while changing your power. So again, when you have find your lenses, when you have fit your lenses, and if you find that your target power is little low, you want to increase your target power. Let's say in some part, where if you take an example, like if my patient is having a minus 5 diopter, if I fitted a lenses with again a minus 5 diopter, the patient is getting corrected till minus 4.5 only. So that half diopter change, you can actually increase the power of your ortho-K lenses without changing your base curve. So the first rule is like that, when you are increasing or you're decreasing your power of your lenses, let me be more specific, the target power of your ortho-K lenses, you don't have to actually increase or decrease your base curve. You have to maintain your base curve. You have to increase or decrease your power in your same base curve. While the second rule is like that, if you are making your lens steeper or your flatter, you have to actually make your power of your lens more weaker or more stronger. So as from this example, if I have selected a trial lenses 43 diopter, which is my FT fitting curve, and my target power is minus 3, and if I am finding 43 is not an ideal fit, I have to shift toward a flatter side or the steeper side. I have actually have to weak my target power, have to strong my target power. So going from 43 to much more steeper, which is 43.5, I have to actually increase my target power, which is minus 3.5, and I have to go to a flatter side, like from 43 to 42.5. I have to go to a weaker side, which is 2.5. So these three rules just to find out your target power. The rule one is actually you are not changing your base curve when you are changing your power. Again, if you are changing your base curve, you have to change your power, make it more weak or make it more strong. So by these three rules, you can actually start your orthocare practice. So let me tell you about the pre-calculation where you can actually calculate how your lens will work and how these things are provided. So again, the same example, a patient diameter refractive power is minus 2 diopter, K1, K2 is mentioned, the average K is mentioned, the patient corneal power will be 43 diopter. Again, I have taken the average. So many people having this doubt, what will be patient corneal power. Patient corneal power is actually the same thing when you are getting with your keratometer or your topography. The K, the average K is giving you in a diopter, so the diopter actually indicate your corneal power. The refractive power, again it's mentioned minus 2 diopter. So patient corneal base curve, again from this calculation 337.5, we have to actually divide 337.5 through your average K, which is 43. So you will be getting 7.84. So from a normal data, you can actually get many more through a calculation, like the patient corneal base curve will be which is 7.84. The corneal power requirement. So again, what corneal power we actually require to let patients see clearly. So just minus your average K from your refractive power. Like my cornea is 40 diopter and my refractive power is minus 2 diopter. And if I want my patient to see clearly, what will I do? I will just remove 2 diopter from your cornea. So if my corneal diopter is 43, I have to remove minus 2 diopter. So I will be getting my 41 diopter. So my last thing, like what thing I have required from my corneal power is 41 diopter. Again, convert patient required corneal power to base curve. So again, converting your required corneal power, which is 41 diopter, to your base curve, again dividing it from 337.5. So we will be getting this data. So again, from normal patient data, you can actually calculate all of this data, where the main thing is like the requirement of your corneal diopter form and your base form. So again, when you are getting a trial lens selection, so you will be taking 43 as your fitting curve, and your target power will be minus 2 diopter. Again, my patient having a refractive power of minus 2 diopter, so I will be taking minus 2 diopter target power, and I will be taking a dia which will be constant in your most of your trials cases, which is 10.6. Again, these two data will be pre-written in your trial lenses or your orthocare lenses, and I have actually let you know about what this two data indicate. Again, the first one is your fitting curve or your alignment curve. Second one is actually the target power which you are selecting. The third one is actually the a base curve of your central part, which is BOZR. The fourth one is actually the power of your lenses, and the fifth one is actually the dia of your lenses. So if you have concentrated on your before presentation, I will just let you know how you can calculate or you can pre-calculate how your lens will work. So patient fitting will take care, your fitting curve will take care of your fitting profile. So this 43 diopter is actually a base curve for your alignment zone, which will take care of your centration of your lenses. So now we will start about calculation. So convert trial lens base curve to diopter. So my trial lens base curve, the central part is 8.39. So when I convert this 8.39 to dioptric form, I will be getting 40.25. So here you can see my patient, corneal diopter was 43, and when I'm putting orthocare lenses, my orthocare lens is working where it's working on converting my corneal diopter to 40.25, while my required corneal power was 41. So you can see my orthocare is working even more, like 0.75 more, shifting it to an hyperopic side. And I've actually let you know why we are shifting our patient to an hyperopic side from 0.75 to +1. So the orthocare lens flattening cornea more by a 0.75 diopter. So my required corneal diopter was 41, and my ortho K is shifting my cornea to a dioptric form of 40.25, so 0.75 is left. To compensate this hyperopic shift, the lens power is usually 0.75. So again, when you are shifting more to an hyperopic side, you have to work on your on your lenses to give it a 0.75 dioptric form, where your vision will be clear with your lenses. So again, many people having a confusion, like when I am wearing my lenses, my vision will be clear. Yes, your vision will be clear if your vision is 6:6, with your correction. With an ideal ortho K lens fitting, your vision will be 6:6 only. So easily you can actually calculate working of your trial lenses. Again, if any person is having doubts over here, you can actually ask me, because it's a very crucial part as far as your basic is concerned.
Sir, if the power is -2, you have used plus 0.75 trial lens, right?
Yes.
If the right, if the power is -4 instead of -2, what should be your trial lens power? How that that calculation how to be done?
Okay, look, if your if your target power is -4, let's take
Right,
this example only. Like your target power is -4, your average corneal power is 43 diopter. So I will be
right.
taking 43 diopter -4 target power instead of -2. But this 0.75 will remain constant. It will not change. You know, my ortho K lens will work shifting my cornea to -4 or even further. Like till -4 it has been -4 work is done, it will again work till -4.75. So this 0.75 will remain constant. Only the thing which you can change is your fitting curve, which is 43 diopter, your target power as you have mentioned, which is -4, and your dia. This BC and power will remain constant, or again it depend upon your flattening curve.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, this power of your lenses is actually 0.75, but let me clear you this thing. Your contact lens is actually working on flattening of your corneal curvature. So it has been flattened now. It has been flattened more toward a hyperopic side. Now if your vision has to be clear, your lens has to be an hyperopic lens, which is 0.75 diopter over here. So my lens actually have worked like -2 diopter, and again it has shifted more toward -2.75, and I have given correction of 0.75. So my total refractive power will be 0 over here. So again your vision will be clear with your lenses. Again, if you have any doubt, you can ask actually, so I can move forward.
Can you please repeat that again, whatever you said right now?
Okay, again, suppose my patient is having a -2 diopter of refractive error and having a average K of 43 diopter. So I will be first I will have to select a trial lens. So what trial lens I have selected? I have selected a trial lens of 43 diopter, which is a fitting curve, and the target power of -2 diopter, and your dia will remain constant through your trial set. Like you will be getting a one dia trial set only, so 10.6. This two reading will come, it's like a constant with your respective lenses. You don't actually change this two reading. So what you can actually select is, you can select this 43, which is a fitting curve. You can select the target power which you are actually targeting, which is -2, and you can select the dia. So these two reading will be constant for that lenses. Again, your contact lens or your ortho K lens will be having a power of 0.75 diopter, where it will be flattening your cornea till -2.75, or your target power. So don't get confused between the power of your lenses or the lens or the ortho K lens, which is actually it's working. The power of your lenses, which is actually indicate what power of your ortho K lens is, and the target power will indicate how much pressure it's been providing on the central cornea. So it's a two term, power of your lenses and the target power. It's a different term. Am I clear? Or if you want to ask something, you can ask it.
No, no, you're very much clear. Thank you.
Okay. Again, if you have any doubt, I will mention my email ID. You can actually ask me on my mail. So this part has to be clear when when you want to start with your ortho practice. Again, you can from this data, like when I am with patients, so we have to be very quick with deciding all of this thing. When you are selecting a trial lens, you have to actually minus your target power to your fitting curve. Like if I have selected a 43 diopter of fitting curve. This actually indicate somewhere which is the corneal power of your patient. This is my target power. So minus your target power to your fitting curve, so you will be getting a 41 diopter. So it should come near to your required corneal power, which is 41 diopter. You can see over here. So just minus target power to fitting curve, you will get your corneal required power. And again, you have to deduct 0.75. So it will let you know how much compression or how much pressure my BOZR is giving on my central cornea. So let's move forward. So again, fitting calculation has been done. So this was my patient in Nepal. Actually, when I have visited Nepal for my first ortho-K fitting session, it was only a fitting session. So she was having -2 diopter and -1.75 diopter respectively, where average corneal curvature was 43 and 43.5. So the first lenses which I have selected was, getting with the average K was 43, and the target power which I have to select from the refractive power, which is -2 diopter, and 10.6 was my actual dia of the lenses. Again, these two part you will be not selecting because it will be constant with that lenses. For the left eye, I have selected like 43.5. Again, we have to go with the average K. For the target power is 1.75. So your ortho K actually come with a 0.5 step. So I will just recommend you, if you're getting with 1.75, to go with a higher one, which is a -2, rather to going with a lower one, which is -1.5. So select the 0.25 higher value. So 43.5, -2, and 10.6. So again, reminding you how we select a trial lens. Select a trial lens with respective to your average corneal curvature and your refractive power. So average corneal curvature, your refractive power, and your dia. So when I have fitted these lenses, I have actually shown you some pictures where the middle one is actually my picture. That same optom student was there, which I have fitted. Middle one just indicate you how an ideal fit should look like. Again, this reverse zone is, it's very confined reverse zone. You can actually get a thicker reverse zone than this. It's actually good for that, but you have to actually get a clear zone of 3 to 4 mm, where the first picture indicate where when you have gone more steeper, where you can see a tear fill in the central part, which is BOZR, and the last picture, the below picture, you can see if you are going more flatter, where you can see a clear zone in the central area. So when I have fitted this lenses, again both of the lenses were not an ideal fit. It's it's a normal when you are going with your first lenses, which is not an ideal fit. Then you have to shift toward your idealness. So first thing, the first lenses for the right eye, I find that this lenses was actually not the ideal one. I have to go much more flatter. So I've selected 0.5 flatter lenses, which is the next step, the before step. So by the rule apply, I've let you know about the two rules. When you are changing the strength of your ortho-K lenses, you don't have to change the base curve. Again, if you are changing the base curve of your lenses, you have to change the strength of your lenses also. So going from 43 to the flatter part, which is 42.5. So I have gone flatter here. So you have to actually reduce in your target power also, which is going from -2 to -1.5. Again, this will, if you see over here, my base curve has not changed. It's same 8.39. So this is why there has been a rule, like if you want to change your base curve going one step weaker, so you have to weak your target power also. Again, your base curve will remain constant, so it will give you a same effect like your 43 lenses you have calculated. Again, my 0.75 is the power of my contact ortho-K lenses, and 10.6 is my dia. So again, no change your base curve and BOZR. So for your left eye, I find that this is again a the steep fit. I have to go with the flatter one. Again, I have changed from 43.5 to 43. So shifting my target power from -2 to 1.5. So again, just don't change your target power without changing this thing, your base curve. If you want to change your strength of your target power, don't change your base curve. But if you want to go flatter or steeper, you have to actually change your target power. So in this case, I have gone one step before, one step flatter. So I have changed my target power one step weaker. So again, you will see my base curve has not changed. So this 8.28, my BOZR base, radius of curvature will actually work same of in both of these two lenses. So again, if you have any doubt, you can ask.
So in a trial lens, is it written the 43 diopter, 44 diopter? Is it written in a trial lens?
Yeah, I've actually shown you, brother. Let me show you again
Can
if I have. Look, so when you're selecting a trial
okay,
lens from an ortho K, this FT is
okay,
actually a fitting profile which you are selecting.
fitting
So
trial
if
lens.
you are, yeah, if your patient is having a
Mm,
average K of 42.5, so you
mhm.
will be selecting this fitting curve which is 42.5. And if your patient having a target power of minus 3.5, so I will be selecting a target power of minus 3.5. And again, these two, the indication will be pre-written in your ortho lens, so you don't have to select all these things. And this will be your dia of your lenses, as indicate the dia of your
And
lenses. Okay, so when
I
you're
think so.
selecting,
Power 0.75. I think the
yes,
power of 0.75 indicate only the central zone.
yes, it's actually indicate the power of the central zone of your ortho lenses,
Flattening
where your
exactly.
target power indicate the amount of compression or amount of work your central zone is doing for compressing the central part of your cornea.
Compression. Exactly, exactly.
Okay, so
Right,
these
right.
two power, again, you people don't get confused between the power of your lenses and target power. So power of
Right.
your lenses is actually the power of your ortho lens. Like if you see the power of your ortho lens, you will find that ortho lens is having a 0.75 plus power in your ortho, and target power is actually the amount of work that ortho lens have to do in compressing your central cornea. Okay,
So
where FT,
there
yeah, yes.
there is any reason to use 0.75 only? Why we are not using
Look, it has been
1.25?
found out. It has been found out like when you are removing your lenses in the morning, so the difference which is making was around 0.75 to 1 diopter. So if you see, many of the practitioner or many of the manufacturing company will give you power contact lenses or power orthocal lenses between 0.75 to 1 diopter. Like if you know
Okay,
Paragon 70, I think they are having plus 1 diopter of power. So this
okay,
is
okay.
the lenses which is breatho correct, having a 0.75 diopter. Again, the other lenses, like if I have to name some, like OK lenses will be having 0.75 again. The Cortex, again, they have 1 diopter of power. So it depends upon the manufacturer to manufacturer. But again, P, the power indicate the power of your ortho lenses. Again, it will have to compress more than your target power. So if in this
Right.
case, like my target power is 3.50, I will be compressing 4.25. So you can actually calculate over there.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
My pleasure. So I just let you know about the fitting of this thing. So this is a typical manufacturing range of an ortho lenses. Again, it depends from practitioner to practitioner. This is typical what I am using, and I will let you know why I am using these lenses. So you will having a zero point 0.5 step from -1 to -8 diopter. So this is the whole range of manufacturing, and a base curve from 49 to 39 diopter. So don't get confused between the dioptric form and the It's the same. Like if you are having, if you are more used to for this tricks, like the patient is having a 7.8 base curve or 8.1 base curve, just convert your into your dioptric form and you will be getting a dioptric form of your base curve. So this is the manufacturing range. Again, I'm using a C contact ortho lenses, which is a Japanese made ortho lens by the name Breatho Correct. So my ortho lenses is having a name which is Breatho Correct. Again, different manufacturer use different name. Like one is having a Euclid. You must be knowing a Euclid lenses is there. Then another ortho lenses which is OK lenses, or Cortex OK is there. So many other manufacturer use a different name for the specific ortho lenses. So about a lens material, lens design, safety, and effectiveness. Typical my orthocal lenses having one of the highest oxygen permeability, which is 156, as you can see over here. It's a 156, and one more interesting image you can see, like a person is actually pressing this ortho from the tip of his finger. my lens is actually so much it's less in rigidity, it's so flexible that you can actually bend at certain level. So if you have seen a typical RGB lenses or typical ortho-K lenses, you can actually press, or you cannot actually bend that lenses, it will just break off. So my lenses is actually, it's so flexible that your patient can actually reverse that lenses. Obviously it's not recommended, but it's so flexible that it can certain, obviously it can certain last for some time, and durability is very good. And why this lenses is so flexible? Because of their unit structure. They're using a MMA series, which is methyl methacrylate, which we have studied in before. Some material from your gas permeable lenses, and then silicone. So normally a manufacturer use this simple technique to actually combine the molecule between your ortho-K lenses. It's actually very much simpler, very much cost effective, where a typical breatho correct from seed will give you a very strong bond, while using a silicone and MMA material is actually give you that flexibility. So it's safety and easy to handle. Again, if you accidentally press your ortho-K lenses, it will not just break off. Again, is having a higher decay by decay ratio, which is oxygen permeability. And if you're taking considering of your decay by T, which is 78 as far as breatho correct is concerned, and you can see a target value of 75 given by O'Neill, which is ideal for wearing an ortho-K lenses for an overnight. Again, I've given you some of the example from market, like some very famous or very old system of ortho-K, which is having a 61 DK, and some of the thing which now we are getting, which is 47, 43. So typical breatho correct is having a very good oxygen permeability. And again, it is so flexible, it's so soft, you can actually feel that lenses that it can actually it will it will resist your breakage of these things. So I've just shown you a graph of this, like when we test the breakage of our lenses from a 5.4 G iron ball. So you can see, and when iron ball is dropped from a height of 150 centimeter, it's actually taken a small crack on my lenses, while on other lenses, I will not have to name that thing. I will just name it A and B. Will just crack from a height of 30 to 26 centimeter. So because of its flexibility, you can actually say that these lenses are very much durable. Again, a typical lens design, which is having a four curve design of a base curve. The normal OZ of my lenses is 6.2, and the manufacturing range for my ortho-K lenses, which I am using, which is breatho correct, is around 10.2 to 11.6. So I am taking in between. I am using a 10.6 dia lenses. So a typical fluorescent pattern, you can see this is again a same one of my student. I have done ortho-K fitting in Nepal with Saker only. I think he can name the college where I have done this thing. So this is her right eye fluorescent pattern, a proper bullseye pattern you can see over here, and a left eye bullseye pattern. So if you hit this part, like if you hit a bullseye pattern in your ortho-K, so we will consider this as an ideal fit or an comfort for your ortho-K lenses. So again, a manufacturing part, and this yellow part which indicate trial lenses which I am having. So I am having a full set of trial lenses for a ortho-K trial set is considered. So again, summary, breatho correct is a high oxygen permeability, and it's a value for it's valued in eye health. It's a high durable, is beneficial for patient handling, and easy lens prescription. So again, it's a long presentation just for some thing, as in you can laugh with this thing. Why is it important for instructing your patient properly? So when you start with an ortho-K, it is very important actually to instruct your patient about how you can actually use these lenses, how you actually have to take care about your ortho-K lenses, the fitting part, the removal part. Again, when you are having your ortho-K lenses, when you are in sleep, how to take care, how, in what way you can actually see, just just you don't have to scroll your eye, because patient will actually follow the word you have said to them. So if you see over here, when I told my brother that he can actually eat half of my grapes, so how he had actually done this task. So he has actually eaten half of my grapes. So you can see how patient or your the people you have instructed can actually follow you. So it's very important, thing that he can actually follow how you have instructed. So as far as your orthocare practice is concerned, instruct your patient very precisely, like how these lenses work, how much time it will take actually to come into effect. And again, why it is important to take care of your eye when you are in the morning when you are removing. Take care, you see whether your lenses is moving at least 1 to 2 mm, and then remove that lenses, see how your ocular structures is there, whether it's in a normal way, or if you see any eyes getting red, so instruct a patient very precisely. So thank you so much again, the Saker or the Power Optom team, for having me here in this presentation. So this was basically very basic part for your orthocare practice. Like if you want to start with your orthocare lenses, you have to actually know how your orthocare lens work. What a curve will decide how your lenses is going on. Again, there are different level. Like if you are talking about the fitting part, the troubleshoot part, how myopia control actually be taken care with your orthocare lenses, a different slide. Again, it's a long presentation, so we will hope like in future I can actually give you that thing. But if you have any query, I have actually mentioned you my email ID, my cell number. You can actually WhatsApp me, or again I am on a YouTube channel which is known as Mr. Optom. You can follow me. So thank you so much, Saker, and thank you so much for Optom team for having me here.
Mm. Thank you so much for the wonderful presentation, sir. Shall we start the discussions?
Yeah, we can start. Like if you have any question, like you can ask me.
Yes, so we have a few questions in the conversation box, so we'll just go through that once and then we can wrap this up.
Okay, so I will just
Are we
go
ready,
through
sir?
because yeah.
Sure, sure.
So I will just see this question. So Avani Shah just asked, which spectacle are we talking about? Please enlighten. So I have seen one of my colleagues showing me about an myopia control spectacle, which was from, I think, a brand named Hoya. So they have actually started with a new type of spectacle where they was having a central clear part, and the peripheral you can see a dotted part which actually defocus on your peripheral retinal image. So it's actually work on defocusing of your peripheral foveal part, so which will take care of your myopia control thing. Again, you have to learn about how defocusing method has been taken care of, like defocusing of hyperopic defocus and myopic defocus. So hyperopic defocus actually work in your myopia control thing, and you can actually search your myopia control spectacle on your Google. So you will see a image, very nice image of lenses which is used for myopia control. How we can get this recorded session? Again, you can get this recorded session from an, I think so it's in a Power Optom YouTube link. Again, they will just let you know. Sakir, can you let me know which YouTube channel you are getting this thing?
So the YouTube channel is for Optum e-learning.
Okay, so you can get this recorded session from for Optom. So you can see all this thing. So it has been given there in a YouTube. Again, so they have actually share a link for YouTube. You can actually see this session again if you want to see. So again from Manisha, the myopia control and orthocare difference in topography. So if you there are difference in topography reports. So when you are taking into consideration about two terms like myopia control for your cosmetic and myopia control for your myopia control. So for a cosmetic reason, for a cosmetic thing, you have to actually take out your reverse zone, this red part outside of your pupillary area, because when your pupil get dilated, your clear part will be there. And as far as myopia control is concerned, you actually have to take that reverse zone inside your pupillary area. So some manufacturer or some practitioner actually suggest you to start with the ortho K and as well as the dilatation therapy. So let your pupil be dilated so that part fall inside your pupillary zone. Again, some manufacturer give you more of the free hand to actually design your reverse zone, how much your reverse zone dia should be there, so it can actually fall in your pupillary area to give you this defocusing behavior on your retina. So again, amount of myopia can be corrected. So one message, what amount of myopia can be corrected with an ortho-K? So again, look, it again depend upon the manufacturer to manufacturer. If you are talking about the cosmetic part, I have personally fitted with a patient from -5 diopter, even though I'm having a trial lens of -8, so I've given him a clearer vision till -8. Even some manufacturer give you a power range or manufacturing range till -22 diopter in a myopic shift. Again, it depends from your corneal curvature, how good is your cornea, how good your cornea is again responding, and again depend upon the lenses which you are having with your trial set or the manufacturing range. So typically, if you're starting with your your ortho K practice, try to select between a mid myop till a low myop range, because you will be getting a very good result in that thing. Again, if you are selecting the high myop, like above -6 diopter, so you will have to be more concerned about the fitting part and the centration part of that. So start with the mid to low myop, and again, if you are confident enough, you can start with the high myop things also. So also, can we correct compound myopia astigmatism with ortho K? Yes, you can correct ortho K with astigmatism also. The typical ortho K will take care of your the curvature of your cornea. Even some manufacturers have given toric lenses for your ortho K also, like this OK Vision and Cortex is actually having a astigmatic ortho K lenses which can actually deal with your toricity of your cornea. So for how long should this orthokeratology for myopia correction be given? So look, as far as myopia correction is concerned, so there again two things will be there. For a cosmetic part, 1 week your patient will take, if you are talking about mid to low myopia cases, like 1 week they will be getting used to, and they will require at least a 1 week to get a full day of vision. And as far as myopia correction is there, you will have to actually deal up with your patient for a span of like 3 to 6 months, for seeing how your myopia management or your myopia things are concerned. So for a cosmetic part, your patient will get a clearer vision within a week. For myopia control thing, you have to actually see how your patient is going. Like we can actually control. We can't reduce your myopia. If your patient is having -3 diopter, we can let your patient to stop till -3 rather than going till in a progressive myopia cases. So we can actually stop ortho K through ortho K, and we can let your patient till -3 only, and later if they want, they can go with the LASIK. So ortho K is a very nice technique which we can use in all of your patient, even with your even with some child also, like patient is having age of 5 years and more, you can start from there only. And if if your patient you want, they want to go with the LASIK surgery, they can actually discontinue using your ortho K lens, and they can go with LASIK. So ortho K is a fully reversible procedure. So are there any refractive error limit for fitting ortho K? Again, refractive error, like it depend upon the manufacturer or the type of ortho K you are using. Like as far as mine is concerned, I am having a refractive error limit till -8 only, because that is the production limit. Again, as I've told earlier, some give you a refractive error limit till -22 diopter. So again, it actually depend upon the the uptake of your cornea, how much cornea can be get flattened. So let me give you one figure. Like if your corneal diopter is around 39 and plus, so it will give you very good response. If it's below that, then you can suggest that it will not give you much more response with your ortho K lenses. Any course where you can learn more about ortho K? Look, there are many courses online where you can learn ortho K. Typical one Facebook page is there by the name American Orthokeratology Study. So if you want, you can just mail me, I can give you a link. So there are many PDF where they can provide you about ortho K study. And again, in this lockdown session, we all know that many more webinars are going on. So just stay active in many optometry page, and you will come to know about this thing. So how ortho-K work in keratoconus? Again, it worked like a typical RGP. For knowing this answer, you have to actually know how your RGP work with your keratoconus cases. So if if RGP is working like pushing your the globe or the cone of your keratoconus toward in a normal spherical form. So this ortho-K work like that only. So but again, you have to know about your RGP in keratoconus patient. So if a
Sir,
patient want to undergo, hello, yeah, some question is there.
so please continue. Please continue.
Okay. So if a patient want to undergo a refractive surgery and is using AOK lenses, how many days before a surgeon should he stop the lenses? So again, I have told you like ortho-K is a fully reversible procedure, and it again depend upon how much your patient is using this ortho-K. Like if my patient is using ortho-K over a span of 1 year, we actually suggest them to be without an ortho-K lenses for at least a month. But if a patient is using your ortho-K lenses below 6 months, you can actually suggest your patient to remove your lenses like 15 days before, and you can actually see the changes. So it actually depend upon the topography report. You have to do a topography in a week span of time and see if any changes happening to the corneal curvature. If no changes is happening, you are good to go with your LASIK thing. So what is the care regime for these lenses? Again, the care regime is very simple. It's same like your RGP lenses. You have to wear these lenses overnight. You have to remove your lenses when you are waking up. Typically, you require 5 hours of sleep. So when you wake up, when you remove these lenses, you have to use your typical this RGP or your GP care, different types of solution for your hard lenses, and you can take care of your this ortho-K lenses in a simple way. How you take care of your GP lenses. Please
So
explain the
just
role of.
a quick notice for our
Yes,
audiences. So
yes.
we have a quiz session of our pediatric dispensing e-learning session in our website www.foroptom.com. So after the session is over, please visit the website and participate in the quiz session. Thank you. So please continue.
Okay, so please explain the role of lenses in hyperopia. Again, some manufacturer will provide you lenses, ortho-K lenses, which will work for your hyperopia also. Now, again, how in hyperopia can be controlled through ortho-K lenses. So instead of pushing your cornea toward a steeper side, they actually create a suction, a negative pressure, which actually pull your cornea toward a more steeper side. So this is how in hyperopia ortho-K lens will work. So it's a different design. Again, I think so. The Cortex is having, or OK lenses is having a lenses which will actually deal with your hyperopia cases. So I'm more concerned about myopia because many of your patients which will be coming to your clinic or coming to an shop will be more of the myopia concern cases. But again, if you want to start with hyperopia, you are good to go with the hyperopia. So how long does a ortho-K lens work? So it actually depends upon how long you want to use. It will work as far as you are using that lenses. But the change where you want to do with your ortho-K lens, typically the replacement thing is 1 year. But some patients are very much taking care of their ortho-K lenses, so you can change your lens over a span of 2 years also. But again, every 4 to 5 months, you have to actually take your lenses to your practitioner to see the surface quality or the quality of your lenses is good or not. So again, the question keep on coming. So I don't know how much time it will take. So again, ortho-K lens is only used for myopia, or it can also be used for hyperopia or astigmatism. Again, you can correct ortho-K lenses for myopia, hyperopia, astigmatism. Also, you can correct your ortho-K lenses for presbyopia things. So they actually create a curvature for presbyopia and ortho-K. So we have ortho-K for that. So will there be a tear exchange possible in a treatment zone? Yes, there will be a tear exchange in a treatment zone because we required 1 mm of movement of your ortho-K lenses. In that movement, you will find a very thin layer of a tear. So tear exchange will be there in your treatment zone. So again, it's not like your lenses is directly attached to your anterior part of your cornea. Your lenses putting a pressure in between your tear and your front corneal curvature. So will overnight wear can cause any adverse effect? No, they have been FDA approved for using overnight wear. So it's having a well over oxygen permeability. You can use these lenses overnight. what are the contraindication for ortho-K lenses? Again, contraindication if a patient, which is very sensitive to hard lenses, there are patients which will not bear the lenses to your cornea. Again, patient which is having a much steeper cornea, you can't go with that cases. But it does not depend. Ortho-K lenses does not depend upon the thickness of your cornea. In much more cases, which in term your LASIK is concerned. So you can go with your ortho-K, and many more contraindication is there. So if you want to know all the contraindication, you can just mail me. I will just let you know. So how did you start fitting ortho-K? Any fellowship, trial lenses? So it's like I have started ortho-K out of curiosity. I have attended one CME for ortho-K, and I just more concerned about starting with ortho-K lenses. So when I started my ortho-K, I used my own company, which is Seed Contact Lenses. So they were very helpful at that time to provide me a trial set, and I have taken you know uh, taking care of that thing by indulging my colleague, which is an ortho-K practitioner, and getting help from him and starting my ortho-K lenses. Again, I fitted one ortho-K in Nepal also. I fitted ortho-K in different part of India. So little bit of experience I am having for ortho-K. But again, if you want to start with ortho-K, go to some people who is actually doing ortho-K practice, and tell them that I want to start with ortho-K, and I will be just seeing you fitting how you fit ortho-K. Just don't indulge in getting fitting by yourself. Just see how they do, and when you are confident enough that you know how things go with the calculation and the fitting part, you can start by your own. How to select a diameter of a trial lenses to start with. So again, diameter is much more concerned as far as when dia change, your base curve also change. So in typical trial set, you will be ordering one die only, but in some case where you don't want to change your base curve, but you want to see the centration part also, you can change your dia. But in some part where your lenses will not center even if the base curve is proper, if the corneal dia is very much high, so you can go with the higher ortho-K lenses dia. So what are ortho-K treatment for children with myopia and nearsighted? Again, ortho-K treatment for children is like your myopia control thing for your ortho-K. It's again a different session, a very huge session for working with the ortho-K for a myopia control. Again, you have to that reverse zone, the red part, the semi-peripheral ring. You have to put the semi-peripheral ring in between or inside of your pupillary area to work your ortho-K lenses for your myopia control. So what again, it's keep on coming. What are the recent alternative option for controlling progressive myopia? Again, you have ortho-K. Again, you have a spectacle part. Again, you have many surgical part which you can deal on. One more thing which recently introduced is your center distance multifocal contact lenses. Again, in India, I have my company, which is Seed, having a center distance multifocal lenses, which actually work on your peripheral defocusing thing. One more technology has been arrived, which is EDOF, extended depth of focus. Again, Seed is having that thing. So EDOF is actually a design from an Bryan and Holden Institute. They actually they actually work on this design for myopia control only. So if you want to know about more of this design, you can actually Google EDOF, EDOF, which is extended depth of focus. So maximum and minimum hour wear of OK lenses. So minimum hour of OK lenses is around 5 hours. Maximum, there is a limit like how you are sleeping. If you are sleeping a whole day, obviously there will be a limit for your OK lenses. But typically, I suggest my patient to wear it between 5 hours to 10 hours. And if you are sleeping for more than 10 hours, like you don't have any work, so you can actually wake up, you can remove your ortho-K lenses, and you can again sleep. But even if you're sleeping for more than 10 hours, you actually don't require a cosmetically or ortho-K lenses. So are there any side effect of wearing ortho-K lenses? Some research has been shown that it can be some side effect. If your patient is not taking good care of your lenses, again, if your fitting is not very good, if you're fitted very much flat than your ideal flat ortho-K lenses, then can be a consequences for that thing. Again, if you want more on this thing, you can mail me. Do you have any question? Okay, so again, if you have any question, you can actually mail me. You can actually WhatsApp me. on my mobile or on my email ID. So if you want, you can just ask me for this thing. So again, thank you for having me here. Thank you all Nepal and all. If we have an Indian also, thank you Nepal for letting me give this presentation of basic of AutoCAD. So we will be having more session in future. Like if you want to follow me, you can follow me on Mr. Optum. Again, this recorded session will be on for Optum YouTube channel. You can see if you want to see this recorded session.
That was a wonderful presentation. Thank you so much, sir, for giving us your valuable time and the knowledge that you have imparted on us. So, on behalf of For Optum, IBIDS, as well as our entire audience, I would like to thank you.
Thank you so
And
much.
thank you, sir. Anyway, similarly, I would just like to make the announcement once again. We are having the quiz session in our website, www.foroptom.com, www.foroptom.com. So please visit the website and participate in the quiz. We will also keep you guys updated on any further sessions and programs that is going to be conducted by IBIDS and For Optum. So again, thank you so much, sir, for sharing your knowledge with us. That was a wonderful session today. And on that note, I would like to end the meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Stay safe, stay at home, and thank you for having me here once again. Thank you.